Okay, guys, welcome back to another Spongebob seasonal review. This time we're still on season 2, but we're actually gonna be wrapping it up. Yep, this is the last part of season 2. The next time I'll do season 3. Just a heads up before I start the video, I will be probably taking a break from this afterwards. Not to be fair, I took a break before, but things are very crazy right now, like trying to do these long videos is kind of hard. So I'm going to take a break after this. And plus technically if I if I were to calculate this, if I were to actually probably do this again, I've been kind of waiting a couple months to do this. And by the time, I feel like I kind of try to do it like at the end of the season. And by the end of, fall would be like, December and all that, which is, would be basically around Christmas and all that. So things are I'm probably going to take a break from that. I really would like to have my own place, so I can make these videos and have, the time and, without being interrupted and all that, but unfortunately that's kind of not gonna happen right now. I'm looking for a job, I am. I would have had one by now, but, Mamaw and my dad are, honestly have frustrated me with the dog and all that, and would basically refuse for me to get a job. Because they're my guardians and all that, I have to kind of deal with that, So, I don't know, maybe I'll make a follow-up video talking about that stuff, because, some stuff's getting straightened out, but some stuff is still really pissing me off, but I don't know. But, also, you guys know the drill. If you guys want to be notified for future videos, please subscribe to my channel. And I will be, even though I'm pausing these kind of videos, I will be going back and doing DreamWorks reviews. I just wanted to finish this up because, I already reviewed most of Season 2. Might as well just finish it up, But I will be getting back to reviewing some DreamWorks movies. And all that. And, one more thing before I do, continue the video. I also need to point this out that I actually made a big mistake in the last video. It wasn't like a huge mistake, but one of the fun facts I did, which will be this episode, it'll be related to this episode in a way, is one of the soundtracks. I think I might have made a mistake with another soundtrack too, but the one in the pressure episode, I said that was the last time that track appeared. And actually, no, it appears in this episode I'll be reviewing, and then appears apparently in Season 3. I guess they brought the track back in a Season 10 episode too, and then the Patrick Star Show, which I've been hearing mixed opinions on that show. I will eventually probably tackle that show too, but I've seen some of the episodes that are alright, nothing special, but I'll probably tackle that, eventually too. But I haven't seen like a ton of episodes of that show. Neither Camp Coral, so. But, yeah, apparently that track does reappear and all that, and the whole part of it disappearing for a long time is not entirely true here. So, yeah. But anywho, though, enough about that. Let's go ahead and actually get into the actual review. So, first up, as you guys see here, we're going to be reviewing Krusty Love. Krusty Love is the first episode we'll be reviewing here. Now, this episode is very interesting because, this episode, I gotta say, this episode is actually very funny. Like, it is very funny. So first off, we have Mr. Krabs apparently, it starts off with the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs is talking about how money is very important. And, what SpongeBob's talking about is just a penny, sir, it doesn't matter. And, to Mr. Krabs, it does, because, Mr. Krabs does have a point. I mean, a penny, even though they're discontinuing pennies, as for right now, he does have a point. A penny can still be worth something, every cent can add up to something, even though if it takes a while, And plus, it can help, with change and all that, too. So, he ain't wrong there. But, there is more to life than money, that. And apparently, in this episode, he finds that out. Apparently, he falls in love with Mrs. Puff. And I just love the reaction to Mr. Krabs trying to talk to Mrs. Puff. It's really funny. And actually, they made quite a bit of jokes about Mrs. Puff's weight, too. Perhaps Mr. Krabs actually has a thing for possibly big girls. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but it is kind of a funny joke. Because they make a joke about, like, they show the circle and all that, and then they, which I actually didn't really get the joke when I was little, but I get it now, but, there is, like, that joke, and then, like, and then they have, like, a part where he's, like, where SpongeBob's, like, he wants to guess your weight and all that, which, he's not saying that, but, like, he can't speak very well because he's struggling, but there are jokes like that throughout the entire episode, with the circle and all that. Which is very funny. Like, it could be just, like, just be a random joke, but I think that's the joke that she's round and all that, and, he likes that, and, which is really nice, because they make that, like, little drawing, and all. It's pretty funny, but, he basically takes her on a date, and basically spoils the heck out of her, and honestly, she's just, like, trying to tell him he doesn't have to do all this, and all that, and then, and basically, he ends up overdoing it and spends a shit ton of money. I think he spends like $10,000 at this restaurant, which, by the way, this restaurant looks like a little, it's one of those, ship bottle, things. They're not, like, super common, but they have, like, those little, those little bottles like that. That's actually, like, what Mr. Krabs' formula is in, in the, after season 1, they started showing that, and that's what you could see it in the bottle, which is pretty, interesting, but yeah, I like that little detail of that restaurant they're in. I'm not sure if this is the first time we see that restaurant or not. I don't remember if it appeared before that episode or not. I don't remember. But it is nice to see it in this episode, and it is a attraction they'll show throughout the show as well. It's not one of those where they'll just randomly reference it. They'll actually show it throughout the show, so you'll see it a lot coming up more. It's just not a very common, location for the show, but it is nice that they reappear it throughout the entire show. But yeah, $10,000 is very crazy. But to be fair, Mr. Krabs again was part of that. But I guarantee the food there probably is expensive. But it is pretty nice. It's pretty nice to see that. But he apparently has SpongeBob keep track of his money and all, and his wallet and all, and apparently Mr. Krabs gets so blinded by all this, like he makes him do all this, running around. And I don't know, like, call me kind of crazy here, but I like the part where Mr. Krabs goes obsessive and crazy, and then starts he goes from like a breaking me boy to like SpongeBob repeats his name. I don't know why. I always like it in cartoons when they do that. They'll have the character repeat themselves. It kind of has a catchy thing to it. It's like when SpongeBob said errands over and over again in the in the Squid's Day Off episode. It's pretty funny, but that's the thing though. It's just pretty funny. But yeah, It turns out, though, SpongeBob ends up freaking losing it and all that, and then, like, I don't know if SpongeBob's cussing here and all that with gibberish, but it's pretty funny, like, seeing all that, and, like, I just like the whole episode. And at the end of the episode, apparently they're still in a couple. However, despite that, we never, unfortunately, see them be a couple again for years. Like, they won't even reference it. It'll take years before they reference it. And I don't think they reference it again, I believe, until Summer Job. Which, yeah, that episode is going to be a doozy to get through, but we'll get to that one later. That'll be a while, like in Season 7, so we got quite a bit of ways to go, but I think that's the first time we'll see it. To be fair, though, we don't see Mrs. Puff and Mr. Krabs together on screen a lot for a long time. I mean, I guess we do see her and him in, like, I think, was it Pest in the West or something like that in Season 5, but even then, like, that's just a past one, which, again, we'll get to that episode 2. I think this is, like, the first time we see them, and we don't see them a lot afterwards, but I could be wrong. But anywho, though, I'm gonna go ahead and just give this a score now. This one's definitely getting a good. And not only gonna give it a good, but I'm also gonna be giving it 120 points. Yeah, this episode is really funny. I really like this episode. This episode is just hilarious to watch. Definitely not my favorites of season, 2, but that's not saying a bunch, because season 2 is filled with gems in it, But this one's definitely really good. I really like it, and yeah, I mean, a lot of times I don't like it when, when they gotta change the characters up, but giving him a love interest, I don't know, it's not too bad, like. But I'm guessing maybe the writers didn't really want that. Maybe they were experimenting with an episode, and maybe they decided they didn't want it, and then later down the road they did. I don't know, because like I said, it disappears for a long time. But I don't know. Let's go ahead and move on to the next episode. Next episode is procrastination. Now, speaking of episodes that are, that are known for being funny and all that, this one's not as funny as the other one. However, this one is actually very well known and very relatable to a lot of people. So this episode is about SpongeBob going, apparently he's at boating school. So it's funny, we get like a Mrs. Puff episode separate from boating school, and then we get this one. And what I like about this episode is it's a boating school-ish themed episode. Like, it doesn't take place throughout boating school. Like I told you guys before, too, I think what I consider a boating school-themed episode is when it focuses on Mrs. Puff a lot, or it takes place at school. Which, I mean, it may sound funny, but a lot of times, these episodes revolve around that kind of concept. But on this episode, though, it only focuses on boating school itself for a few, and then, it takes place at home. But basically, SpongeBob apparently is supposed to take an essay on what not to do at a stoplight. And he freaking, loses his mind, he doesn't go insane or anything, but he wants to go outside and have some fun, but he just keeps, trying to stall himself and all that, and, I just really like I just really like all the stuff they do here and all that, and it just feels the episode itself feels very relatable to people. It feels very relatable. It feels like people get very pressured when they do this kind of stuff. Kids, and all that, having homework. That darn homework. That darn homework. Curse that homework, I'm sure a lot of kids do not like homework, but there is that homework, and you want to do something so bad. It doesn't need to be going outside. It could be you want to go watch TV or something, or go I don't know, you want to go do something, you normally can't do, which I guess TV wouldn't be a thing, because, people watch on streaming now, but, I don't know, you want to, go, I don't know, go watch a live stream or something on YouTube or something, I don't know, do something, and, you can't do it because you gotta do this homework or something, or you're, I don't know, like, it feels very relatable. Even for adults, this episode feels kind of relatable. Like you really want to do something fun and all that, instead you gotta work or something, That's the thing, though, It's very relatable, Even for me, like, as a YouTuber, I'm not really, it's not really a full-fledged career yet, but, I want to make, I want to do other stuff, but sometimes I'm trying to, push myself to actually, do the work here. And that's what this episode kind of does. It does all this stuff, One thing I will say, though, about this episode is there is actually apparently a couple of deleted scenes. Although on Paramount Plus, it looks like they're back. I think they were. I mean, I watched this on DVD, but I'm pretty sure I watched this on Paramount Plus and saw them on there. But they actually, cut out some scenes. So they actually cut out, the part where, SpongeBob is driving a boating school with a crash test dummy. I guess because it's a little too violent, which I don't really get that, because, kids are gonna be driving a car and all that, I don't see the point of that. And then, there's another scene which I can kind of see a little bit maybe why they might cut that out, but still feel it's kind of weird. So Patrick is, rubbing lotion on Sandy, he's rubbing lotion on Sandy's back. Why is he doing that? I have no idea. Perhaps maybe he might have something, with Sandy, but, I don't know. However, I like his, smirk on his face when he's doing it. So he's sure enjoying himself, but I don't know, they blocked that out too, but it's just kind of weird, I don't know, it's just very weird they did all that. That said, though, I don't know what else to really say about the episode. I don't know, I basically, I guess I can say the whole nightmare sequence is pretty funny, too. So again, SpongeBob, again, kind of loses his mind a little bit. Like, he doesn't go, psychotic like Squidward did, and, and all that, but he does kind of lose his mind a little bit, ends up having a nightmare, which, by the way, people sometimes question, if this is actually, when this took place, because there is a scene where we see him on the phone with Patrick, and Patrick and him are having a conversation, and Patrick's actually questioning what he's doing. Which, people are, thinking, that could be in his head, because Patrick, is... Well, Patrick is basically a, basically Patrick is a, usually stupid, he's not very smart, so seeing him, question that's kind of crazy, but, I don't know, I think though he wrote the word "the" on the, I think he wrote it on the, it depends on when he wrote the word "the" on the paper, because that was on there when he woke up from his nightmare. But I don't know, I just kind of like the nightmare sequence is kind of funny, too. But he apparently gets everything done and all that, and apparently the whole thing was a waste of time, because at the end of the episode, apparently Mrs. Puff revealed that she decided to cancel it. So she actually was trying to call SpongeBob. But she had a teacher's convention to go to or something like that, so she decided to cancel it and do a field trip. So I kind of feel bad for SpongeBob there, but I mean, hey, at least she tried to call him. She tried to call him and all that, so that was nice. But this episode, honestly, in my opinion, is definitely a good. It's a good. And also, it's going to get 120 points. Yep, another 120 points. Another very good episode. I really do like this one. Also, weird thing about this episode actually appears on the Christmas DVD episodes. Yeah, but I haven't been talking a lot about the DVDs. I talked a little bit about them with Shanghai and all that, but I wanted to point this out because that Christmas DVD has 3 snow-related episodes. And then this one's on there, like, I'm surprised they didn't just make that a bonus, themed episode. It's not Christmas related at all. It's like, there's no snow in it or anything like that. Now, when that DVD came out, to be fair, when that DVD came out, they apparently released it, and apparently the bonus episodes are gone. For some reason, I don't know why. That seems kind of cheap and lazy, but I don't know. But so do a lot of, like, reprints of DVDs anymore. I mean, Toy Story, for example, they changed up the logo on it. It's not really worth buying anymore, but that's just, again, my opinion, but I don't know. But this one apparently was not in the bonus features, and it was actually included in the episode. And again, it's not a Christmas episode, so it felt kind of weird and out of nowhere, But that was one of the episodes I kind of got sick of watching because, well, I have seen it so many times and all that. I mean, when I was little, even now, like, certain stuff I'll never get sick of. Like the Christmas episode, I'll never get sick of it. But episodes like this, I kind of got burnt out about it for a while because when I was little, I got robbed and lost all my DVDs and was stuck kind of watching this stuff. But I don't know. But let's go ahead and actually get on to the next episode, though. So this episode is next. Yeah, this one, I'm with Stupid. Now this, out of all pre-movie episodes, this one seems to be the one people seem to hate the most. Well, some people hate Dumped more, but I think Dumped, I've noticed, gets a little bit more of a pass than I'm with Stupid. And that's probably because a lot of people do not like I'm with Stupid because Patrick is kind of a bit unlikable in this episode. And you know what? I kind of agree. However, I don't think it's... I think I still stand by and say Dumped is probably the worst of pre-movie. Even though pre-movies had some bad episodes, Dumped is probably the worst. I think it's just the most forgettable and all that. This one, however, is frustrating at times. So, this episode is about, apparently, Patrick, I guess, trying to impress his parents, because apparently his parents think he's dumb. Which, I mean, yeah, he's dumb. I mean, Patrick is definitely not smart. I mean, he shows some smart moments, like in, the last episode I just talked about, he showed some smartness there, but again, I don't remember if that was actually in his dreams or not, in SpongeBob's dream or not. I don't remember. And then, because I don't remember if that word was written down before that or not. And I mean, we've seen some moments where he can be smart even before that. But for the most part, Patrick is definitely not very smart, and all that. So, what SpongeBob does for him, which seems very nice, is he tries to pretend he's stupid to impress, his parents. So that seems very, very nice and all that. And there are some jokes in this episode, like, I do like the part where, like, Patrick has this random, note, and it literally shows a note, and there's a letter on the back. The joke feels a little forced in there, but it ain't that bad. It's actually kind of a little funny. Like, not super funny, like, it's not, like, out of nowhere, it's out of nowhere, but it's like, it's not like it kind of feels like it's shoved in there a little bit, but it's still funny. Like, I don't know how else they could probably put the joke in there. But then we get to the part where, SpongeBob, is trying to impress his parents, and I will say there are some funny moments with him, like, I even like the part where he has a blouse and all that, and then, like, showing off his blouse and all that is pretty funny. And then a house, and then runs into his house. So it's pretty funny and all that, So everything seems okay. Unfortunately, then the episode starts to take a nosedive, where Patrick apparently starts making fun of the way he looks, apparently. I don't know why, with eyelashes. And apparently they make I don't know, they make fun of him wearing makeup or something, like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, okay, like, okay, sorry about that. My mom apparently was looking for something. But anywho, as I was saying, with this episode is, yeah, apparently, yeah, like I said, the whole thing with, SpongeBob, SpongeBob is looking for, well, apparently not SpongeBob. SpongeBob is, apparently, getting made fun of for apparently, mascara and all that, and makeup and all that, and I'm just like, the whole thing is just stupid, I'm like, that makes no sense at all and all that, and then, like, apparently Patrick starts to, like, I don't like it, maybe he forgets that, maybe he forgets that, it's his, that he was just pretending, he was stupid because Patrick technically is an idiot. But then, like, when apparently SpongeBob tries to actually talk smart to them, they don't believe him and believe Patrick, and Patrick starts having that grin on his face, which makes it look like he actually is aware of what he's doing. And I mean, I don't know if that's what the writers were intended, but it just seems kind of stupid, the whole thing just seems very stupid, And apparently at the end of all of this, apparently SpongeBob runs out, and apparently these aren't even Patrick's parents at all. Apparently I guess they're stupid too, because apparently his real parents come out, and they come out and all that. And they come out and apparently have been looking for him and all that to celebrate Starfish Day with him. Which, by the way, I don't even know what that even is. I don't know what Starfish Day is either. It's like is it supposed to be like days where like they celebrate Autism Day or something, or natural this or that, I don't know what Starfish Day is. They never really explain what it is in the episode. I guess I don't know what Starfish Day is, but I don't know. But yeah, this episode's got a lot of problems with it. But despite that, I think this one still deserves a meh. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised as you guys are that this one's getting a meh. Like, I was thinking about giving this one a bad, but I think it actually, it's saved and all that. It's been saved a little bit. And speaking of, meh, we have to give this a score, too. And it's going to get 46 points. Yeah, 46 points. Not a very impressive, score for this episode, but I don't know, I think the fact that it reveals at the end that it's not Patrick's parents at all, although that concept is very stupid, and all that, I guess it's an interesting twist and all that, the fact that, that all that crap that SpongeBob did with him, I guess that means that he could be like that with Patrick and just tell him to go screw himself and all that, and be like, you know what, like I'm not dealing with this stuff again and all that, because apparently it wasn't even Patrick's parents at all. So it's just kind of weird. But yeah, this episode's not great. I don't hate it as bad as other people, but I can see why people don't like it because of some problems with it. But I definitely rather watch this episode than Dumped. This one at least has some humor in it and all that, and it doesn't start getting rough until, later on. And even then, like, it's not the worst I've seen, and all that. But it's still definitely not one of Patrick's best moments, but I'll take this over Dumped any day, because at least, here, like, you can argue that, again, he's stupid and all that, and again, that grin on his face could just be, like, him feeling pride for his parents praising him, but I don't know. But let's move on to the next episode now. Next up is Sailor Mouth. So this episode, apparently SpongeBob is throwing out the trash and discovers dumpster riding. And apparently, one of the, somebody, wrote on the, dumpster, like, crabs is a, which I guess would probably refer to a fucker or something like that, which, is definitely a very potty mouth word and all that. Of course, all the bad words in this episode are blurred out with, animal languages and all that. Apparently they actually cussed in this episode. They actually cussed, but unfortunately that, actual reveal that apparently is lost. What I could gather, though, is once on YouTube, the whole thing uncensored was actually revealed on there. Unfortunately, Paramount took it down. They took it down, which, I'm like, if you guys are not going to release, I mean, I get copyright, you don't want people to skip out on the episode, but I'm like, at least, like, make it available for other people and all that. Instead of just, like, letting it be buried. Like, maybe the adults can enjoy the episode or something like that. I don't know, like, but yeah, apparently people actually literally cussed in this episode. But this episode, I actually question, like, a lot of people do, who actually wrote the language on there. I would say it could be either Squidward or possibly Plankton. But honestly, Squidward, though, I don't think would actually do that stuff. Squidward would not. Like, I don't think Squidward would probably. I mean, Squidward didn't really even know what was going on here. Like I don't think even Squidward was even aware of that. So it's possible Plankton was, wrote it, but again, it's never revealed who wrote the that stuff on there. But I like how they actually learn these curse words and all, and they start cursing at the Krusty Krab and all that, and apparently it actually causes a lot of problems. But I don't know, I think too, if I'm not mistaken, in this episode, wasn't Mr. Krabs, and I think Mr. Krabs is in the bathroom again, wasn't he? Like, I think he was. I think he was in the bathroom again, which would make, I believe it. It's been a while since I watched the episode, but if that's the case, this would be the second time he was in the bathroom in the entire episode. I don't know, I can rewatch the episode again and tell you guys when I do season 3, but it's still very crazy, that they would have it in there twice. But they also showed Tom Kenny in the shower twice in season 1, so I guess it wouldn't surprise me at this point. But there's not really a whole lot about the episode I can think of. I guess I do like the part where they play they play this game called Eels and Escalators. I kind of wish that game was real. I'm not gonna lie. Same with the episode in season 1. You have the season 1 episode. Have or not the season 1 episode. ARG. Have the pirate game be real to the Flying Dutchman's game. That'd be interesting to have too. I'm surprised they haven't really made any of those games real. I think they could probably do that. But I don't know, it's definitely a fun game. I will say though, probably playing a board game and all that, and then I don't know, it's probably not the greatest thing to do if you're cursing, but to be fair though, it's not like it's usually super frustrating, but apparently Spongebob says a bad word by accident, and then they basically do what they did in, Life of Crime. They basically do the exact same thing, surprised they didn't learn anything from that episode. I'm surprised that the writers actually wrote they basically did pretty much the exact same scene. They both tattle on each other and all that, and I guess there's a little bit of a twist, like apparently Patrick doesn't make it there at the same time too. He ends up riding on an ice cream truck and all that, but they still kind of tattle on each other, which they did in Life of Crime and all, which we know that will fail. I think what they should have just done is they should have been like, you know what, we said a bad word, so just not worry about anything. Of course, Mr. Krabs is not happy with that, and then forces him to ping the Krusty Krab. I also like the visual we get of apparently the 40 lashes thing, and apparently, I think it's like a reference to the Muppets. I could be wrong, but it's a pretty funny to see Patrick with 40 lashes. It's pretty funny. But to be fair, they could have told Mr. Krabs that they said it by accident, But I guess they didn't really think about that and all that. And then Mr. Krabs starts cussing because he hits his foot on a rock, that's gotta hurt. And then they end up, like, telling on his mom, which this would actually make the first appearance of Mr. Krabs' mom. Also, interestingly, too, this is the last time, now, I actually confirmed this, I watched a music video. This is actually the last time the Oyster Girls theme will appear in this episode. And this is actually confirmed. Like, this is actually the last time we will see it. For a long time. However, it does appear, apparently, again in an episode called Twisted Times. So it's another track that modern SpongeBob brought back. So at least, you know, I feel like modern SpongeBob's got that going for him. I've heard there is some problems with it, though, with them introducing Camp Coral and all that, you know, which, I mean, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't feel like that's probably a great idea, because it kind of messes with the timeline a little bit, but maybe they might make some stuff interesting. I don't know, like, maybe they might try to retcon or, like, not retcon, they might try to, like, throw this stuff in here somehow. I don't know. But yeah, Sailor Mouth, though, is, yeah, like, you know, the last time we'll hear this track. Also, apparently, a lot of people have had issues with that. Her, like, parents were not happy when this episode released. Which I'm like, why? I mean, the kids don't even get to hear the bad language. They don't get to hear the bad language. And all that. And, you know, I'm like... And actually, they had other scenes that were going to put in the episode. But they actually cut that out. I don't remember what the language, the sentences were exactly. But apparently they were going to have, like, them actually saying other words. But I think they cut it out because kids would probably recognize it as the bad words a little bit easier. But again, it's not like the kids would know it unless they hear the bad words, you know. So I don't really see the problem with it. But I don't know. It's like that whole thing with adult cartoons. Like, the adult cartoons are not allowed to curse at all really anymore. And I'm just like, some of them are like South Park and all, but I noticed like Family Guy and all that, they don't say a lot of bad words anymore. And I'm thinking because, you know, the whole, like, again, like, if kids were watching it, but kids probably shouldn't be watching this stuff, but to be fair, I watched that stuff when I was little, but again, like, if you have a problem with they don't blame the network, or have the network censor you, it's not your problem. That would be the other people, but I don't know. But that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just stupid people got so worked up over this, but I don't know. But that's just me. Let's go ahead and give it a grade, though. I'm going to grade this one a good. And I'm also going to be giving it 120 points. Yep, 120 points. Yep, another really good episode. So far, a lot of the episodes have been really good so far in this set of reviews. That's good. So, you know, besides, you know, I'm stupid. So far, most of the episodes have been really good. Let's see how it goes in the next episode. The next episode is Artist Unknown. Now, this is another classic episode, in my opinion. This episode here, apparently has, Squidward actually trying to attend an art class and teach art to people. Apparently, though, everybody thought that except SpongeBob, thought apparently, it was cooking. So somebody didn't advertise the class very well, but I do really like that SpongeBob and Squidward's dynamics in the older seasons. They're very funny. And I say the older seasons because later on they'll get kind of annoying with this stuff, but in the earlier seasons, yeah, their dynamic is really good. But in this episode, though, especially, I really like that apparently Squidward's being kind of, you know, salty to SpongeBob and all that, and basically jealous. He's jealous of SpongeBob. SpongeBob can do all these perfect things. Like, draw a perfect circle, which I like how he draws an entire head, and then literally, Like, he draws an entire head and all that, and then erases it, and then the rest of the details, it makes a circle. Like, I really like that. That's pretty funny. And I also like the whole leapfrog thing, too. It's pretty funny. And then they make a statue, and, I like that I think this statue is the Statue of David. I believe it's the Statue of David. But of course, to keep out a nudity in in it, they actually put a seashell on it. They could have just not, bother putting it, at all. But the fact that they actually put a seashell on the crotch, it's really funny. Like, I'm sorry, I really like it a lot that they do this. They actually put it on a crotch, on his crotch and all that. That's pretty funny. But of course, Squidward is jealous and all that. And apparently, I guess puts a weird nose on it, because Squidward likes to put his image on everything, which I don't think he needs to put it on everything. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind his artwork. I kind of feel bad for him at times with that stuff, but I mean, in this episode they kind of do that too. They'll shit on his work, but they don't really get in your face about it. When later episodes they'll actually get in your face about it. In the earlier seasons, like, well, at least this episode they actually don't do it like in your face. But I do like though that he puts a nose on it, and then apparently SpongeBob gets sent out to the dump and all that, and apparently this artist guy comes in, which I gotta say, I really like this guy. He's pretty funny. He's pretty funny. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be French. I'm not sure. He definitely, I think, has a French accent. I apologize for people who are French, but I think that's a French accent. I don't know. He's got an accent going. But I've heard his voice, I think, before, but I do like the voice actor who voices the artist. I like his sense of humor. And of course, he doesn't like the nose, apparently, on Squidward. Because again, they don't like Squidward's image on anything. But again, I think the statue really didn't need the nose. I think that's probably for the best. But again, they do kind of get overboard with stuff later on. Yeah, they get overboard with this stuff later on down the road. But the thing is, though, again, this episode, though, alone, this one though, has got a lot of humor and I like the part too where when actually SpongeBob comes back and Squidward needs him back, he actually ends up screwing everything up, but Squidward actually makes a perfect circle and all that, and then SpongeBob is able to recreate a book, which is impressive. Apparently, he destroys a statue and all that, with the marble and all that. I do like how he visions the marble and all that, and even dates the marble, which is pretty funny. But I like how Squidward literally just fucking loses it. He just literally loses it. I like how he just freaking has a horrible tantrum and all that, which I will say, there are times where I think characters going berserk can be very either funny or annoying, or kind of out of nowhere and not necessary. This one, though, I think is really funny. It's really funny, and it doesn't make Squidward look too psychotic. I mean, yeah, he acts psychotic here, but he doesn't sorry, I'm just I can't stop thinking about that part of the episode. That part always makes me laugh, but I will say, yeah, him going berserk and all that, and then somehow creating an actual freaking statue out of the whole thing. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. Apparently, he could have made millions on it, maybe more than that, but he ends up giving his job to this random janitor guy. To be fair though, Squidward only did that by accident, and to be fair, when it comes to art, you gotta you have to make more than just one thing of art to make probably a career out of it, so he probably wouldn't have worked out anyway, but it's still pretty funny that he did all of that and then just happened to make a good statue. So I like that they put a little twist on this episode. They actually made Squidward actually do reverse and actually did things the right way and perfectly, and then SpongeBob was the one that screwed it up. But it's pretty funny. But this episode is really good. This one's definitely getting a good. And then it is getting 120 points. Definitely 120 points. This episode is really good. I love this episode a lot. I really do. It's really good. I love it. I love it a lot. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one now. Next up is Jellyfish Hunter. So in this episode, I think we have a recurring character, which, could not be. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I think it seems very, very specific here. There's this random blue jellyfish, which if you guys don't remember, in actually the third episode of the series, which is the one where we meet Sandy and Tea of the Tree Dome, there's a scene where we see SpongeBob catching jellyfish and ends up failing to catch this blue jellyfish. And apparently this jellyfish is in this episode. And I think it's the same jellyfish. I could be wrong, but I think it's the same one. Apparently, SpongeBob is so desperate to catch this jellyfish because he wants to name it. He wants to name, the jellyfish. And all that. So it's nice we get to see, a different color jellyfish is pretty nice. We've seen some different ones. We've seen like a big mama jellyfish. We've seen a king jellyfish. I guess we've seen a queen jellyfish in a way, too, but that was more so Kevin. That wasn't really, a queen jellyfish. Like I said, I think I said in that episode, I don't know if there actually is an actual queen jellyfish in this show, if they've ever released, it, or if it's just, or if they never had an actual queen jellyfish. But it's still nice to see different jellyfishes. And in this one, we see the blue jellyfish return and all that, which, again, I think he returns, but I don't know. Despite that, though, he doesn't catch him and instead uses his jelly from the other jellyfish to actually, so similar to Jellyfish, to the Jellyfish Jam episode, we see him actually, squirt some, jelly on him, instead of a toast, he squirts it in a jar and uses it for the actual, his Krabby Patty. And apparently the customers like it. We even get Fred singing a song about it, which is pretty nice. It's pretty nice to see that, which I think is one of the rare times we see a background fish actually sing. I'm pretty sure, because most of the time we see the actual main character sing, so seeing a background fish actually sing is different. Like in Fun, we get to see the background, the clams sing a little bit, and then in Jellyfish Jam, again, I brought that up, but again, we see the clams, doing the la la la, but for the most part, it's usually the character singing too, so it's very rare we see that. So it's nice to see that we just have a solo song of a random fish singing. It's pretty nice. Which I think it's voiced by Mr. Lawrence. I think Mr. Lawrence, is it Mr. Lawrence that I'm pretty sure he voices Larry too. I think it's him. But he voices I think Fred as well. I'm pretty sure, I think it's him. But it's pretty nice to see, see him, singing and all that. It's pretty nice, but and that's the thing though. In this in this episode though, we apparently he likes it, and so does other people. And Mr. Krabs, of course, isn't very happy and gets kind of salty with SpongeBob for messing with the formula. Which okay, I can understand you being upset, but getting salty with him, that's a bit kind of being of a dick there, Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs in general in this episode, which kind of takes away the joy of it a little bit, is way too much of a dick. He is very But Mr. Krabs is like very, very, just not very likable. Like I think they make him a little too much of a villain in this episode. Basically what he does is apparently he has, Mr. Krabs has, SpongeBob go after all these jellyfish. He goes after all these jellyfish just to imprison them and all in a factory and all that, which seems very evil and all that. And again, this question is like again, Mr. Krabs being having him exceeding, And again, it's a cartoon, but again, we're supposed to be rooting for this guy to freaking exceed in, things like, the Krusty Krab and all, and he's doing all this shit. Then you start kind of questioning, him and Plankton in general, and, you shouldn't be questioning him being, this villain and all that. You should be rooting for this guy and all that. And I'm not saying they can't make him a cheapskate at times, it can work, but this one, I think, like, him kidnapping the jellyfish is a little too much. Or maybe at the end of the episode, maybe he realizes what he's doing is wrong, But, I don't know, it just seems kind of, a little bit, too much for Mr. Krabs. Also, we get the famous more scene too, which, by the way, is another instance where we had the character literally speaking the same word over and over again. This is like the third time I think they do this in this entire season. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is like the third time we have them doing it. Which, by the way, we get this horrifying scene in this here. Which I thought I showcased it. I guess I didn't. I don't know, hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and give it a score and get the score out of the way, because it isn't good. But boy, is it got problems. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'll show the image off in a second, because there's like a weird image in here, but I thought I had it on there. I guess I didn't have that on there. But I'll go ahead and say the episode first as it is. Man, Mr. Krabs, though, is definitely very unlikable in this episode, which kind of takes away the episode a little bit. They make him too much of a villain, but it's still very enjoyable and all that. And I guess it's nice to see his comeuppance at the end, but like I said, I feel like they make him a little too much of a villain, and maybe I'm going a little too far into this. But again, considered, they're trying to, watch him exceed in business. I do think they go a little too far with him a little bit in this episode, but at least they make it entertaining, Later episodes will just make him cheap and all that, and they don't really do anything entertaining with it, but still, this is kind of where Mr. Krabs definitely becomes an absolute villain. At this point, Mr. Krabs is pretty much just gone. The good boss is gone. Because in this episode, he even treats SpongeBob like shit too, at times, But speaking of this episode, before I let it go, I need to actually go find me the image I wanted to show you guys real quick. Alright, here it is. This is what I was talking about. Look at this, though. Look at this imagery here. See how weird this looks? This is probably one of the most disturbing looking images I've ever seen. Now, SpongeBob's had plenty of close-ups and all that, but, what the hell even is this? What even is this, what even is this? This looks, so weird and all that, it's he's got, three fingers and all that, and then these eyes here and all. This is probably one of the most disturbing images I've ever seen. It's definitely up there as one of the most disturbing ones. Of course, we have this one from the other episode too. Which, by the way, is pretty gross. That's, freaking really gross at whatever happened to SpongeBob. But this one's definitely up there as one of the most disturbing looking images. In the episode. Luckily, unlike, at least that episode, at least this one, they actually only show it for a brief second. It's still freaking disturbing as hell, though. It is. It is still very disturbing. But let's go ahead and get back to the episode now. Yeah, I thought I had that already shown over here. I guess I forgot to put it over here. I could have sworn I put it over there, but I guess I didn't do that. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing, though, too. That's a very disturbing image and all that, and that's in this episode. But when in the scene where he says more, it looked like there was going to be more. Well, I don't know if this is true or this was just a fan-made video, but it looked like there was going to be possibly more imagery showing off Mr. Krabs' weird facial expressions. But they just showed this one. But again, it's only on screen for like a second and then it's gone. But it's still very weird and all that. And this shows that even pre-movie Spongebob can make these gross out, looking, stuff too. I mean, he did this in Squidward, Squid's Day Off too. They did this too. They made it look very weird. But I don't know. But the thing is though, like I said, they do this kind of weirder stuff all the time. But it definitely becomes more common as the seasons go on. But it's just really weird and all that. I don't know how I feel about that. But again, it's only on screen for a second, so it's not like you're going to see it a lot. But I don't know. But let's move on to the next episode. Next up, we have the Fry Cook Games. Now, this is another episode I really do like. This episode right here is the Fry Cook Games, which basically takes place in this this Coliseum-ish area. And I really like how all these events are basically related to food. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish they would make a spin-off of just this episode alone. Or maybe they can make like some shorts or something on Nickelodeon. Like, I would totally watch that, just like, have some like shorts or something like, or like some, promos, for commercial breaks showing this kind of stuff. Nickelodeon actually did this back in the day, I think, with Squidward. They did this kind of stuff with, like, apparently, like, Greek stuff, which were like tiny little shorts. It would be kind of interesting if they did, like, this as well with this kind of stuff. Like, I would totally watch that. That seems something very interesting with food and all that, but unfortunately they never really did that. But it is kind of interesting though. But like, I guess they had the Tiny Chef show, but I don't think it wouldn't be anything like this. I don't think it would be focusing on games with food and all that. But I don't know. But that's the thing though. This episode alone, though, has a very interesting concept. I don't think I've really seen any other cartoons, It basically takes sports and then, Olympic Games and all that, and then actually has it food related. And it really works. Like, I kind of wish more cartoons would kind of do this topic. It could maybe ruin the originality a little bit, but they can mix it up and all and make it more fun, but it definitely would be interesting to see something like that, but that's the thing, though. It's a very, very interesting, episode. But I like how apparently Plankton ends up hiring Patrick at the Chumbuck, and Patrick and SpongeBob literally start freaking fighting and all that. And I like all these little games they play and all that. It's pretty nice. Unfortunately, they breeze past a lot of them, which kind of stinks. But honestly, if they did all that, it'd probably be a very long episode because there were a ton of games they showed. They even had one apparently where they were being I think they were dancing and all that with fruit bowls on their head or something like that. I don't know what that's called. I've seen a lot of cartoons do that though. They'll have that kind of stuff, which is kind of weird. But I don't know. But it would be kind of interesting to see that, this kind of concept in actual episodes. But the episode itself, though, I will say, I do really like a lot of jokes in this one. Also, we get to see them actually fighting with bun wrestling, and I really like this scene where they're both muscular. They're literally both muscular, and I gotta say, I really like their designs. They're pretty nice. This is actually one of the rare times where we see a starfish character, which by the way is Patrick, it's obviously Patrick, all muscular. Like, we barely see that kind of... Usually the starfish in SpongeBob are tubby. So seeing, them look like this is crazy. To be fair, he has the same model as SpongeBob. He's just got, like, pecs. Like, he's got, like, pecs, and all that. Like, he's got... Well, SpongeBob's got pecs, too, but he's got, the, like, nipples and all that, on his, on his design, which... But he pretty much has the same design. But it's still really cool to see Patrick all muscular like this. And I like seeing them, like, like fighting and all that. And then, like, apparently Patrick, is licking SpongeBob's foot for some reason. I have no idea why the heck he's doing that. It's very weird and random. And then we get, like, a scene where, like, SpongeBob actually erases, Patrick's, name and all that, and Patrick has a freaking huge outburst about it. It's really funny. But yeah, there's just a lot of jokes throughout the episode. Like, there's a lot of them in this one, but I could talk about more of them, but I'd be going on forever if I were to do that. I'll just go ahead and give it a score, though. I'll give this one a score, and say this one is going to get a good, and then 120 points. Yep, 120 points. This one is actually really good. I really like this one a lot. Definitely a very good episode, and a very good season, So let's see how the last two episodes, finish off the season. Next up, we have Squid on Strike. So Squid on Strike is next. And on this episode, I'm going to say right now, this one, I am not the biggest fan of this one. I think this one is overrated, like really overrated. Yeah, I know. But let me explain. Let me explain here. Thing is, though, this episode, honestly, has an interesting idea. It has an interesting idea around it. Like, so Squidward apparently is fed up with, Mr. Krabs' BS, because, again, this is one of these episodes where, again, Mr. Krabs' cheapness kind of ruins the episode a little bit for me. But I guess they had an interesting concept, but unfortunately, I don't feel like they execute it very well, and I'll kind of get into more of the episode as I talk more about it, but basically what happens is Squidward is pissed off at Mr. Krabs because Mr. Krabs is freaking charging them basically for Squidward to basically stand there and breathe. So they're basically charging, somebody there to breathe, I'm like, that they need to freaking breathe to survive, they need to, breathe to freaking survive, and all that. I mean, I guess technically the sea creatures in real life need to breathe. I'm not really sure. I know they have gills and all, but they need to breathe. I'm not entirely sure. But in this episode, yeah, Squid on Strike. Yeah, basically, Squidward gets fed up with this, so he goes on strike, and he basically tries to talk SpongeBob into doing it. And honestly, SpongeBob is kind of just going along. SpongeBob doesn't even know what the heck's even going on, which kind of has some of the charm in the episode a bit. Like, it has some of the charm in it. But basically what happens is he gets them fired because SpongeBob, doesn't know what a strike is and all, and tells Mr. Krabs about what they're doing. And apparently, that involves it being fired. And we actually see kind of a disturbing imagery of SpongeBob's insides. Like, it's not the most, gross out scene, but it is a little bit gross just seeing his insides like that. We have to, literally look at his, insides of his body and all that, which is kind of gross, but I don't know, but I do really like that, the part where they're making, these signs and all that, and then Squidward, well, SpongeBob basically doesn't get the idea of, what they're doing exactly, he doesn't know what a strike is, obviously, which is kind of the joke throughout the episode, and it does create some funny gags. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot to this episode, basically. There's not a lot to it. And what I don't like about this episode is Mr. Krabs technically wins at the end. He freaking wins. Yeah, basically he does go to Squidward, to beg him to come back to work because apparently the teenagers are annoying and won't leave him alone. Which I'm just like, that feels kind of like a very lazy, conclusion to it. I'm like, I feel like what they should have done is they should have had, maybe they got the same treatment that Squidward got and they got pissed off and left too, and then the Krusty Krab was going out of business, and then they were forced to come back. But no, apparently that's the reason why, Mr. Krabs apparently needs them, in the episode and all that to come back, which is kind of stupid and kind of lazy. And apparently everything is going good until apparently SpongeBob freaking goes and destroys the Krusty Krab. And apparently they actually work at the Krusty Krab forever. And apparently SpongeBob thinks that, that's a good thing because he misunderstands exactly what Squidward was saying. He said eternity, like basically he was implying that they would be able to get their jobs back, be treated fairly and all that, and be able to work there forever, basically until they die, without worrying about anything. But SpongeBob takes this way too far and starts kind of, tearing up the Krusty Krab. And this is kind of where the episode kind of just pisses me off. So basically, because SpongeBob tore up the freaking Krusty Krab and all that, Squidward gets blamed too because he was part of the strike, even though he didn't really, tear up the Krusty Krab. But I guess he did kind of give SpongeBob the idea to do it. But again, it's not like Mr. Krabs, I'm sure it's not like, SpongeBob was supposed to do it like that and all that, so he misunderstood what Squidward was saying exactly, but I do like the part where Mr. Krabs does fall apart. It is pretty funny, but unfortunately, this probably leads to one of the most disturbing, and I clarify, one of the most disturbing one of the most disturbing endings of SpongeBob ever. So at the end of the episode, it is, revealed that apparently they're still working at the Krusty Krab, and they're freaking they freaking look like, skeletons and all that, and, so that basically they became skeletons, so implying that they've worked there for an eternity. The narrator basically implies eternity, but basically, one eternity is forever, but I really hate that. I hate that they freaking end the episode. It's disturbing. It is very disturbing. Definitely one of the most disturbing, scenes. I will say it's not the most disturbing one. I'll say there is a scene, I'll say it's more disturbing in season 4, and there might be even more than that. I don't know, I'd have to rewatch a lot of the episodes, but as for episodes, probably from season 1 through 5 at least, I would say this one's definitely one of the most disturbing ones. It is freaking just flat out disturbing. We don't even, I said, it just seems much. And I want to clarify, if you guys look down here, you guys see this is 38 out of 39. Some apparently airings of the episode actually have it as the B episode, not the A. So sometimes you can watch the season and see that this is literally how the season ends. Now, obviously, they're going to be fine in the next episode. Obviously, they're going to be fine, but it's still freaking disturbing, just to see our favorite character, SpongeBob and Squidward being stuck to work for this cheap-ass boss who treats them like shit and charges them for breathing and all that, to be working there for all eternity, It's just ridiculous. It is freaking ridiculous. This punishment, I feel like, is way worse than freaking, the Good Neighbors one. Because the Good Neighbors, and in that episode, at least, Squidward, yeah, he was forced to work, for community service for every Sunday the rest of his life. But, I mean, again, Squidward probably could have got out of that one and said it was SpongeBob and Patrick's fault. But also, again, the rest of his life, not eternity. this episode applies that they've been working at the Krusty Krab, even like longer, which implies that this is even worse. I know it's kind of weird I'm bringing up Good Neighbors as an example, even though that episode has a lot of problems with it, too, but then again, that just kind of applies how much worse I feel like this ending is in that episode, and that's saying a bunch, Now, I did classify that one as that one wasn't like a terrible episode. I mean, I have to rewatch it again, for my seasonal review when I do season 4, but I don't know, I don't think it was as bad as people said, at least when I watched it that one time. I grew to like the episode more. This is one of those episodes I actually kind of grew to hate over time. Like, I actually really liked this one when I was younger, except the ending. But then I started kind of getting, started not liking it as much. And that's kind of the problem, Again, it's just like, again, I hate how Mr. Krabs again won at the end. Like and I mean, again, it's supposed to imply probably that again that people will go on strike. It's supposed to give out a message maybe that people go on strike, don't win most of the time at the end. That they actually will suffer like this, where they'll be forced to do all this. But number one, this is a cartoon. And number two, I'm like, I don't know, yes, it happens in real life, but it's not, I still don't want to see this, happen to the characters and all either. But I don't know, to be fair, this kind of happened with the writer's strike and all that. Basically, they put all this money, into like going on strike and all that, and put all their jobs on hold, and at the end, they basically kind of didn't win, But again, I'm like, this episode just feels like, I feel like it's an episode and they could have gone a whole different route. I don't know, I just don't really care for this one as much. But despite that, I still think this one deserves a meh. And I'm going to give it 45 points. Yeah, this one was so close to getting bad. But I think the strikes and all that part of the episode, like the ticket signs and all that, I think that saves the episode. But pretty much this episode is very forgettable. Like, it has a very disturbing ending and all that. Like, there's really not a lot to it. Like, I think this episode, like I said, is very overrated. Like, I mean, you guys can like it all you guys want. That's their opinion. But for me, this episode is really overrated. Like, I don't see why people like it. Again, I'm not saying you can't like it, I just don't see why people like this episode so much. There's just not a lot to go back to. And I mean, I like the ticket sign theme in the episode, it's pretty catchy. Which I think it might be a guest star, because I don't think this theme appears again. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with that. But I don't know, this episode's just very forgettable, Like, this is definitely one I won't go back to anytime soon, but I mean, watching it again, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like maybe giving it a meh might be a stretch, but I don't know, there were some things, like I said, I enjoyed about it, but for the most part, again, like I said, the fact that Mr. Krabs kind of just won at the end, and yeah, SpongeBob destroyed his restaurant, but he kind of deserved that, and to be fair, it wasn't really Squidward's fault, what happened there. I mean, yeah, he was part of the strike and all that, but he didn't really intend for that to happen, But yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the last episode of this season, which again depends on how you watch it apparently, but the last episode here is Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm. So Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm apparently has a giant worm in it. If you think earthworms are big, the freaking worm in this episode is freaking huge. Apparently it is very, very huge. And apparently it eats everything, including apparently an ass. It literally eats this guy's ass. And then it eats, apparently these kids' homework. And then apparently it also eats Sandy's tail. Which is, applying Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm. As Sandy and SpongeBob are going after this worm, SpongeBob's actually trying to talk Sandy out of it. But Sandy, is so desperate to take this, tail, tail snatching, worm out and all that. I liked how this episode reveals that Sandy apparently is the strongest character in the Bikini Bottom. Which is kind of crazy. Yeah, but that she's basically the strongest one. She's even stronger than Larry, though. I thought Larry would be stronger. But I don't know. But I guess this episode doesn't imply that we get to see the part of with Sandy's tail and all that, which by the way was not the tail and all that. I talked about how season 1, like I don't really care for the new design that much, and I even said that in past videos. I actually meant to point this one out, that I was gonna foreshadow this episode by talking about that, but yeah, basically, yeah, this episode's about that. I think I still kind of stand by what I said. I still kind of like her tail not really sticking out much, but I guess it does make an interesting plot for this episode. Apparently, also, SpongeBob and, SpongeBob's friend Patrick, apparently, and the rest of Bikini Bottom are pushing this. They're pushing the Bikini Bottom, town somewhere else to keep the worm out of there. And apparently, I didn't even think they were actually going to do it when I watched the episode in the past, when I was little. But apparently, no, they actually are going to move the Bikini Bottom. Apparently, they're actually trying to move it, which is crazy. And that's actually not a very bad idea. Of course, them being buildings, you can't just move a building unless you're Sandy that can randomly pick up a giant building, and find like a random guy licking a lollipop underneath a building, then I think you're probably not gonna have the best luck with it. But apparently they're trying that while apparently they're going after the worm. But I do like the idea of the episode. But I do like the idea of it. That I do like then they go for this worm and all that, and I like how it reveals that Sandy actually is afraid of this giant worm. She's afraid of this giant worm. And I like seeing it's so satisfying seeing SpongeBob literally freaking call out Sandy and all that, and literally make her confess. But I really do like that. That's pretty satisfying. That's one of the few wins we get from SpongeBob versus Sandy. Is pretty interesting. But I like too how the worm actually falls to its doom, and then apparently I guess somehow Patrick and the Bikini Bottom did actually push the Bikini Bottom. They actually did push it. Which honestly, that plan actually backfired, but I want to know how they actually pushed it, because we saw at the beginning of the episode they actually didn't push it. It doesn't look like there was really any more, fish and all that in that scene. So how did they push the Bikini Bottom like that? That's just kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, though, but I don't know. But for the most part, this episode's not that bad. There's not a lot to say about it, but I do really like it. I'm going to go ahead and say that this one, in my opinion, this one gets a good and 120 points. Yep, a very good way to end off the season. Yep, a very good to end off the season. Yeah, I'm glad this one ended on a good note, just like season 1. It's pretty nice. Yeah, this one's really good. Like I said, it's very satisfying. I really love it. I love seeing again, SpongeBob, calling out Sandy and all that, which is a very, few wins that we get from Sandy and SpongeBob. Like I said, SpongeBob actually is on the right here, and actually is smarter than Sandy for once. But that's pretty much all I have to say for this. And that is pretty much every episode of Season 2 reviewed. Yep, we finally have reviewed every episode. Now we're going to go ahead and give this one, the score. But first we got to talk about the episodes. So this one had less episodes in Season 1. Because it had that special episode. It didn't have a short in it. I mean, it had like a short episode, I guess. Gary takes a bath, but still, Shanghai, was technically a special there, but, as well, it was technically a special, but I guess it wasn't quite 22 minutes long, so I guess that's why Gary takes a bath was the sister episode for it. But that means that basically there are 32 good episodes, there are 5 meh, and then there are 2 bad. Yeah, this episode, that makes this season actually gets a good season. Yep, it actually gets a good. Unfortunately, though, I guess I forgot to give it a score. I would say it probably in my opinion, I think it probably deserve 100 points. Not 120, just because the episodes themselves were not like there was a few that were not very good, and this season kind of featured one of the worst episodes of pre-movie, but the fact that again 100 points is still still impressive for that. But yeah, I'm sorry I forgot to actually include that in the video. I had to put that in there. My bad. I would have put 120, so it probably would have been wrong anyway, but still, I should have had it at least in the video. Anywho, though, we're going to move on as you guys see the notes here. This season, I had a lot of notes. And there's probably some I probably could have missed, too. But here we have some notes. So first up, we have this season is a lot more funny than Season 1. And yeah, this season is a lot more funny, definitely than Season 1. I think it's more funny. I don't know if Pike Rules has pointed it out in his videos. I was trying to do more, original stuff. But sometimes I might have some notes in here that might be things he already said that I might point out a little bit more, talk about myself. But I want to try to put some of my own notes in here, too. But yeah, I definitely think it's a lot more funny. I will say this season's not. I think Season 1 is still better. I like the characters a lot better. I like the animation better, and I really like the soundtrack a lot more. I think it's a lot better. A lot of tracks return in this season, but I just think Season 1 had a better soundtrack. This season did introduce some soundtracks too that were pretty nice. Like we had that track which I didn't bring up in Gary Takes a Bath, that the part where Spongebob is on top of this random tree that somehow in the back of his in the front of his yard we never see before, which is kind of weird. I do like we get to hear that track, which I forgot the name of that track. It still appears in current Spongebob, but I don't know. But yeah, I think although season one was funny, but season 2 definitely feels a lot more funny. They definitely had a lot more fun with the jokes in this season. They went way out with it. But another thing I will say is there's a lot more close-ups and weirder faces. Yeah, there's a lot more of that in this season. Like I talked about a few. I talked about that weird imagery of Mr. Krabs and then Squidward, but we also get a close-up of Patrick's pinhead face, which is really funny too. We get that and all that, and I think we get some others too in this. I mean, in the first season we got a few close-ups too, but not a lot. But yeah, we get a lot more close-ups and all this it's season and all that, which is interesting. I guess we even get that that flashback to a Patrick with 40 lashes too, which is pretty funny. I know it's not really much of a weird face, but you get to see Patrick with 40 lashes, which is pretty funny too. So So I guess it's only a few I mentioned, but I think that I'm pretty sure there were way more than that in there. But yeah, they definitely kind of, I think, went out more with that. Then we have you know, like I said, Mr. Krabs changes. Yeah, Mr. Krabs changes in this season. Like, you definitely notice, you notice how at the beginning of the season, like, he's more like his season 1 counterpart. He has some cheap moments, but he still, you know, had that, you know, he cared about his employees and all that. And then later, they kind of turned him into an absolute villain and a cheapskate. And I mean, I don't mind him being a cheapskate, but I think they go sometimes too far with his character. Like, for example, they kind of go far with you know, in the Jellyfish Hunter episode, and then, like, the same with the episode, you know, like, you know, the Squid on Strike. They go way too far with his character, and I don't really like it too much. You know, and I don't know if SpongeBob's changed a little bit too. SpongeBob seems to be kind of the same, you know, like, I think he's got more moments where he's kind of more of a bit of, he's got more serious moments, but I feel like he still feels like the same character, though. I think Mr. Krabs is really the only one that has changed, really, I can think of. I mean, I could be wrong with that, but I think that he's the only one that's changed. And speaking of changing, I guess with the voices, though, Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob's voices get higher. Yeah, this is something I want to point out, because I don't think Pie Guy Rule has even talked about this, but SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs' voices definitely get higher as the seasons go on, you can kind of tell. Like, I'm not sure why they did that, but, like you can tell, like, even in, like, the episode, what was the episode called? That Patrick episode with the trophies. I can't remember the name of that episode. That episode, you can tell SpongeBob's, you know, voice was mixture between high and low. It sounded way off, but then afterwards they started kind of making his voice a bit higher. You can tell his voice got higher, and Mr. Krabs too. Like, throughout the entire show, both of their voices will get higher and higher. The other characters too, like, their voices sound a little bit different, probably because they're using different recording equipment, because, you know, it's different now than the cell animation and all that. They probably upgraded their equipment too. But you can't tell as bad, like, with the other characters as you can with them. So there's that. There's also a lot of music that disappears randomly in this season too. A lot of music that disappears. Like, for example, you know, the Oyster Girls, like I mentioned, that disappears, you know, after this season. So does the music in, Grandma's Kisses, that disappears with SpongeBob licking the spoon. And then, like, the music in the part where where Kevin is, you know, trying to run away from this king jellyfish, and so is SpongeBob. And then you hear that music. It's like the last time you hear that track. So a lot of tracks kind of, that's only a few, but that's still, SpongeBob kind of in season 1 kind of didn't have, they had a lot of tracks, but not like as much as the later seasons when they'll start adding more of them. But that's like 3 of them right there, just randomly disappeared. They disappear in this season. But they don't even appear again. Season 3 will have the same thing, but I just wanted to point this one out because the fact that these tracks just disappear after this season, I guess kind of shows that even season 3 kind of forgot about some of these tracks. Some people are saying that they had licensing problems. I'm starting to kind of think, I don't know, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, because some of these tracks, as we get later on, some of them, they're just remixes of older tracks, and they still don't appear again. You know, they just randomly disappear after so long. But some of the tracks, like the Oyster Girls theme, like I mentioned, apparently does reappear. I had to go through a couple different comment sections to kind of see that, because apparently YouTube, because the YouTube kids and all, which again is so stupid, but they remove the freaking tracks. The freaking, well, not the tracks. They remove the damn comments in the people's sections, and I hate that. I hate that so much. Like, one of the best parts about YouTube is having your comments. And if you don't have your comments, then, like, it kind of takes away the fun a little bit, you know? And then YouTube does that. I think a lot of people are turning them back on, but a lot of these, videos are very old, so, finding, that stuff on there is kind of hard, But I've been noticing people are starting to, turn it back on, so I guess that there's that, but it's still annoying. It's still annoying that I can't go to, like, older videos, like, for example, watch Starfall or something and see that, It's kind of annoying, but that's kind of how I found out, these tracks came back, were because of those comments. Now, one of the Spongebob episodes I did watch was The Pressure, but I did kind of forget, because I have not seen that episode in years, I did kind of forget that they brought that track back. But apparently they said that's kind of a high-pitched track, so it's not the original track for The Pressure episode and all that, which is called a Cha-Cha Nova or something like that. But the fact that that modern Spongebob is bringing this stuff back, I guess, again, shows you that they are kind of thinking about kind of this stuff, which is good, I mean, that's good, but again, I can't really quote it too much because I haven't really seen the newer episodes. I need to kind of watch them, but I kind of want to wait until I get to that time so I don't really watch these horrible episodes because I hear a lot of them are bad, and I don't really want to watch them have to watch them again, But anywho, another thing I want to point out is SpongeBob's color sometimes looks off too. Now, apparently, some versions they fixed this too. I've heard on Paramount Plus, I think they fixed that version. That was what I've heard. I watched this on DVD, but sometimes SpongeBob's color, like his design, will sometimes look off. Like Gary takes a bath, for example, like his design, like he looks more like pale and less darker yellow. Like, it's not a horrible mistake, but it kind of looks a little weird, seeing his design. Or sometimes his yellow will look, darker, but sometimes it'll look paler and lighter, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that throughout. I don't know if it's like that in season 3 too, but it is kind of weird that they have it here. But I figured I'd just point this. I mean, some of these things I probably won't point out in season 3 because I'm pointing them out here. But like the tracks, like there are some tracks that will disappear in season 3 too. The bubble blower. I think it's called a bubble blower tracks. The track from the second episode of the series. Reef blower. That episode, that track disappears after season 3. And so does the Cha-Cha Nova song, because I thought that was season 2, but season 3 apparently it does. And then it'll return. So there are things like that. But it's pretty much kind of similar to this in a way too. So I don't know. But it is kind of weird, like, again, I have all this stuff to say about it, but that's the thing, though, it's still, it's still, like, I mean, a lot of these are not very great changes, but it's still nice, too, to see that, like, some of the stuff, like, again, it being more funny, is kind of nice, too, because, I mean, I don't mind having just storytelling, too, but I like to have jokes in the episodes, too, that make some of these episodes more enjoyable to watch. But, like I said, I probably would say Season 1 probably is my favorite because of the characters and the animation. And yeah, it's not as funny as Season 2, but it's still funny in certain episodes, But let's go ahead and actually move on to I'm almost done with this, so let's move on to, I'm going to talk about my, favorite and least favorite characters in this season. As you guys see here, I have Karen again. Yeah, this is the second time I'm picking Karen. I'm sorry, but Karen, like, in this season 2, it's like they really didn't know what to do with Karen in the earlier seasons. They did not know what to do with her. I promise, though, she will not be my least favorite character at every season. But in this season, she's just, like, she has, like, one appearance, I believe, and it's in, like, Welcome to the Chum Bucket. And she only has, like, a couple lines in that episode. Like, I kind of hate that. Like, I kind of wish they had more of her in the season. Season 3 will do a better job with that. but like showing more of her. But in this season alone, they only have around one appearance. But that's why she's getting the Joker here, because I just don't really. I just have my problems with this episode with her in it. But now let's move on to my favorite character in this season. In this season, though, I actually had a few tough choices here. I was thinking either doing Squidward or Patrick. Mr. Krabs had his great moments, but I'll say Mr. Krabs was not really a lot of moments I didn't like about him. Squidward had a few, like in Grandma's Kisses and all that. And there were a few where he didn't even appear at all, and it took place at the Krusty Krab. But the thing is, though, I think Squidward kind of made me laugh more than Patrick. Patrick was funny, too, and Patrick also had his, dickish moments, too, where it kind of ruined some of the episodes a bit. But I think, I just think Squidward was a lot more enjoyable in this season. Like, I love Squidward in this episode. Like, I like the part where we see, I think, like, even the part where he gets Krabby Patty shoved down his throat. It's really funny. And then we have, another episode where, like, Squid's Day Off, he's really funny there. And then Artist Unknown, as we see in this image here, he's really funny. And then we have, like, Squid on Strike, which, I mean, yeah, that episode was very, forgettable, but Squidward was probably part of the highlight of that episode. I did really like him there. And there's just, like, so many episodes I really like him. Even in Christmas Who. Christmas Who was really good, and I really like Squidward in that episode, too. So, I mean, that's the thing, though. I think Patrick had a lot of great moments in this season, but Squidward, I think, was just much better. I think Squidward made me laugh a lot more, and I think he just had a lot more enjoyable scenes in this season. But that's the thing, though. Sometimes there will be ties in this, sometimes I will have some ties in these season reviews. Just a heads up, sometimes there will be some ties. I'm saying heads up as I, know that right now. I don't know right now, but I'm saying, like, in case, there are some ties, there will be some ties, there could be some ties, like, not just this show, in other reviews I do, too, there could be some ties. I won't do tiebreakers, because I don't think that's really fair to the episodes, but yeah. But yeah, I don't know, but that's the thing, though. Like, I definitely think, with this episode, this season alone, I think Squidward probably is my favorite. Like, I think he's definitely my favorite. I definitely think he's got the most enjoyable scenes and all that. And yeah, it's like I said, Patrick was really close to that too. Patrick, he had some moments I didn't care for him too much, but for the most part, Patrick was probably like one of the best characters in this, season 2. I liked him a lot. That's pretty much all I have to say here. This was really fun to finish this off, but I will have to stop this, because as you guys saw, too, I was interrupted again in the video, and that's the problem, too. I'm just like, I can't be making these long videos and being interrupted, every single time, I try to make, a video. I can't be doing that, Like, I can't be interrupted, and all that. So, I'm probably going to have to make shorter videos for right now. Which really just sucks. It really does suck, but it's kind of how it is. Like I said, I don't have my own place, and I said my mama and my dad kind of screwed me over a bit, with the whole job thing, because it's harder to get a job during the weekends, It's harder to do that, and I got mama trying to tell me that, and I'm like you're trying to tell me that I'm having a problem with that, but I'm like, I'm just like, it's just ridiculous, it's just ridiculous. But I think I'm going to make a whole separate video talking about this crap, because this is making me kind of upset, and it kind of hurts my work a little bit, but I don't know. But I don't want to let that kind of stop me from, making videos and having you guys enjoy them, but it's just going to be a little bit harder to make videos right now, but I don't know. But I'll see you guys later and all that. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And in the future, I'll tackle season 3. And just a heads up, I guess, because I keep forgetting to bring this up in the video, I will stop at season 5. I've had this plan this reviews plan for a long time. I wanted to get better at my videos first. But I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do it. But I will take a break from reviewing SpongeBob and review probably Family Guy next. And I might even have a shorter series to review. Maybe like Johnny Test or something. I haven't decided yet. But I will probably take a break so I don't get burnt out on reviewing SpongeBob like Pie Guy Rules did, you know. But anywho, see you guys later.